I'm back, I'm Gerty rude, back again this Friday mood. Well, here I am on Friday VooTubers, ready for the weekend, ready to Philly-like kick my heels up. Yes, I intend to tonight at least. Anyway, and I've got a full weekend. Monday, I'm going to try and do something a bit different. I've been in a situation recently where one thing and another has led to one thing and another, where I found that I've had nothing to do but to read a book. And I've read Spare. About halfway through it now, and this isn't a parody, I'm not taking the piss. I've actually found it one of the most disturbing books I've ever read in my life, and I've read disturbing books, you know, Tolstoy, whatever. I've got them all. Dostoevsky, Solzhenitsyn, you know, Chaucer. What else have I got? Oh, I've got them all. I've got, what's the name, Vita Sackville-West, Virginia Woolf, I've got the Mitfords. I've got Shakespeare, Dickens, Thackeray. I could go on and on and on. I've got nearly 1,000 books I've collected in my life. And they're usually either classics or people that have wrote books that are people. So in other words, like the Mitfords. She was a person, she wrote a book, so I've got a book. But I never read novels. They're mainly biographies and history books and, as I say, classics. And yet I've read this book, Spare. As I say, I'm about halfway through. And I had to go out and take the dog for a long walk, clear my head. Because it is one of the most disturbing and poignant books. And I can't believe some of the... actually, in one way, I'm glad I've read it, because it's knocked me off my pedestal. And it's also knocked into a cocked hat some of the talking heads that you see on here that are doing it for shits and clicks, and they're not actually being truthful. I urge you to read it. It's a very bloody disturbing book. And it's put me in a whole new headspace. I suppose it's because in many ways, I'll go into when I talk about it more on Monday, I relate totally to some of the stuff he talks about it. Not everybody's been to private school, not everybody's been to boarding school. Maybe if you have, that would resonate with you. Not everybody's lost a parent, not everybody's lost a child, not everybody's gone through some of the stuff he's gone through. I mean, by the time he was 17, he'd lost his mum and his best friend. And you see, yes, he was the son of a king, but he was definitely the silent child. He was the invisible kid. Like Charles himself actually said, he thought he got on better with Harry than he did William. Well, yeah, because Harry never got a word in. My attitude towards a certain person hasn't changed one iota. In fact, it's harshened, because I now can see, and I'll explain it and articulate it better when I actually can pinpoint and hold down my thoughts a bit, because I'm in a bit of a turmoil today now, because I didn't expect to have this reaction. It's one of the saddest books I think I've ever bloody read in my life. And how people have actually twisted bits of the book so they come out on top on their YouTube channels and they look fascinated and they look amazing and they look really in with it, you know, for the shits and clicks and the revenue. For instance, when he says the fox, there's a bit in there where he talks about the fox speaking to him. We thought the fox was speaking to him. He was stoned off his bloody head. He was a 13-year-old boy, stoned out of his bleeding head at Britain's top bleeding paying private school, Eton. What the freak is going on at that school? What the flip is happening? Or is it you just paid for them to go there so they can say, oh, I've been to Eton? And when you read, because I know about private school and I know about boarding school, I know some of the stuff that he's talking about, and I know it's true. The sheer empty loneliness of that little child, right, is devastating to read. It's devastating. And then because we as adults, and wiser, more intelligent adults, because I know everybody that comes onto my channel with vastly, vastly superior intelligence, most of the hoi polloi, you know, when you read between the lines of that book, yes, he's done 1,000,001 arsehole things since he's been with her. But when you go back on the stuff he did prior to her, he was a lovely lad, considering what a heartbreaking bloody childhood he had. Even Diana said it was like being a bird in a gilded cage, which I think was a very popular analogy to use for her. And yeah, he was the son of a king, but he might as well not have been. You know, actually, I think there are some people around about his situation that do need to actually say sorry to that boy, or whatever he is, man, when you actually get into it. And nobody's heard his point of view, and I think the media has been stoked up to make sure nobody hears his point of view. And I still think that little Mary that he's with is a put-up job. She's a vile creature. don't think for 1 minute my attitude's changed. In fact, if anything, it's hardened. Because where he should have met somebody that really loved him, and really loved him for him, which is all he's ever wanted. He always wanted, like he said when he met Chelsea, that she wasn't impressed at all by who he was. She didn't care. She was like South African, don't care, or Kenyan, don't give a flip, you know. She was quite bored of it all, actually. She'd been there, done it, bought the T-shirt, wasn't interested. That was a massive thing to him. He'd never had that. He'd always had that golf. Yeah, I mean, didn't he have a take with Caroline, what's her name, that used to do the Love Island and unalived herself? One of his first contretemps was with that lady, you know, years before she had her breakdown and unalived herself. I mean, I'm talking like back in the 2000s, because I remember reading it in the paper. Most of the stuff he talks about in the book, I'm now hearing from his point of view, but I remember reading it in the paper. You can't be a media and politics whore like me and not have read all the stories originally when they came out. So I formed my opinions on the stories I was told at the time. And that Rebecca Brooks, she was took down as well. She should have been. He's done actually a good job in highlighting what a bunch of a-holes they are. But he has took the hit for a lot of stuff that's been going on in that family that should never have been going on. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter. With that, I'm going to move on. Yeah, I'm quite shook, actually. I'm quite upset about the whole thing. But maybe it's best not to read books who don't know what way it's going to take you emotionally. But yeah, it's quite upset me, and it's definitely resonated with me. And he deserves to have his say, which I think he's had his say in WA. But the saddest thing about being halfway through WA is knowing that I know the end of the story, and it just don't get any better, does it? It's a really sad tale. So with that, we're going to jump in and see what he's been up to today, the poor little bugger. Right, let's go.
Good morning, America.
Good morning to you, darlings.
He's considered applying for US citizenship.
I don't blame him. Apply, stay there.
He's loving his new
Get rid of that thing, though.
So much, he may even take the citizenship test.
Do you feel American?
Oh, look at him. Bless his little face.
Do I feel American? No. I don't know how I feel.
What do you think about becoming a citizen?
I have considered it, yeah.
Yeah? What would...
So they put words in his mouth and he answers the question. And I'm not saying he doesn't do... But some of the a-hole stuff he does because he's been bloody groomed from birth to be the... You know, I don't know, be the hanger-on. Be the last person to get attention. And then he met what he thought was his love of his life. Like he thought she billed herself as his mother. She wore his mother's perfume for flip's sake. You know, she love-bombed the shit out of him. He'd never had that in his life. She wasn't impressed by his royalty. Do you get me? Capiche, Foos? Are you listening to your old girl? That whole thing wasn't impressed by royalty. Do you get me? It was a put-up job. I feel so sorry for him. It shouldn't have ended the way it's ended. He should have met somebody that just basically isn't that whole thing. I do feel for him. I really do. Please don't unsubscribe and think, oh, you're all right. Oh, bitch, you are, Gerty. You're going back on it, because I've never read the book. I was just here taking the piss out of it all the time. And being a book whore, I know what I'm reading. I've lived through the times. I've lived through all that. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to be on your own in a little boarding school. When you're a little kid and you're all on your own and you're just one of things. And he had a teacher there that used to keep telling him, oh, well, you should know this about history because it's your family. And they were talking about, like, Bonnie Prince Charlie, like James II. Why is that anything to do with him? That's fucking bullying. I'm sorry. Excuse the F-bomb. But if I'd have been Diana, if Diana had been alive, I'd have been round there. I'd have been wearing that teacher's gonads for a bleed necklace. I swear to God. Nobody should have been treating that child the way he was treated. You know, and that's all there is to it. And then he was given Manny after Manny after Manny as a young man. Manny obviously being the male of Nanny. So he had nannies, then he had Tiggy, whatever her name is. Then he started having Mannies, which ended with Jamie Loath of Pinkerton. He was like Manny from... I mean, he was the dad he never had. He was the best friend he never had. He was everything that he never had. But he just wasn't any of his family. It's just shameful. And we do have to think about the fact that British citizens pay taxes to keep these people on their pedestals that they need to get a grip on, really. I think one of the best things that's happened to the royal family is Kate coming into it for William's sake. And I hope whatever happens, is drawn a line under this affair on the demise of King Charles. Bless his heart. Don't wish him any ill. But the royal family really needs to get with the bleeding programme. It's absolutely appalling when you read the book, what he went through. Poor little lads. Anyway, yeah, he's going to be an American citizen. Be American, but get rid of that bleeding thing. Why don't you? Because he used to really like Rihanna. I think he should like a diamond in the sky with Rihanna. I really do. Yeah, that'll put her nose out of joint, wouldn't it? Hey, Voodoo First, what do you reckon? I reckon it would.
What would stop you from doing it?
I have no idea. I'm here standing next to this with these guys, and the American citizenship is a thought that has crossed my mind, but certainly not something that's...
Oh, I just want to hug him. I'm sorry. I know you're all going to hate me. Read the book. See, I'm the same. I go on what everybody else said. Until I read the bloody book myself, I'm halfway through it. And as I said, I had to take the dog for a long walk. I had to get out and clear my head. It's such a freaking upsetting book. And I'm really annoyed that this has happened in my lifetime. And I'm really annoyed that it's my taxes and my money that goes into taxes that keeps this perpetuating. It needs to damn well stop. And obviously this Marklet thing has been manoeuvred into his sphere to make him even more bloody ridiculous so he can take more of the shit than what actually should be levelled at him, actually. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to try and formulate something to be more concise, which I don't think I'll be able to do much before Monday. Yeah, come on, put the picture of the Marklet on so I can take the piss out of that thing.
Prince Harry gave the interview in Whistler in Canada, where he is promoting the launch of winter sports in the Invictus Games following a week of backlash.
Yes, never mind that. Where's the Marklet?
.com website.
Where we're thrilled to be joined in person today by former BBC royal correspondent.
They're just never happier than when they're not feeding. They're feeding. There's a feeding frenzy every day, and I've got to say I'm the same. I get my biggest hits, my biggest views are always when I do a Harry and Meghan. I can do something really quite prescient about the state of the world, or the impending Third World War, or like politics in Britain, or maybe child abuse, which is one of my things that I'm always showcasing and platforming. I can do all those things. I never get the take-up that I get as when I put Harry and Meghan. But I think from now on, you're going to see a lot more Meghan than Harry, because I really do pity this chap. Yes, he's an a-hole, and there's a lot of stuff that he probably needs to apologise for as well, because he shouldn't be going around like a puppy, a whipped puppy after that whole thing. He really needs to get back in, because he's a beta male every day of the week. He's cuckolded, isn't he? To be fair, let's have it right. He's cuckolded. And it's so unnecessary. It's sort of like when you see in the book, because I always read between the lines of things anyway. So what he writes, or his ghostwriter writes, his ghostwriter didn't dream it up. He must have spoken it. I know how they do it. They speak into a dictaphone, then the ghostwriter will go off and turn it into a story. Yeah? And even so, it's bloody sad. It's ridiculously sad. Yeah, it's posh child abuse. Child abuse happens in every level of society. Not just the underclass, not just the working class, not just... It happens everywhere. It might morph and twinge and sort of tinker itself a little bit, but it's still child abuse. It's abuse. Emotional, mental, physical, it's abuse. You know? And Eton, I wouldn't let him look after my dog.
Michael Cole. Now, Harry says that. Well, what made you reconsider not necessarily applying for American citizenship? Well, I have no
I don't care. You look like you've got a bleeding wig on, you weirdo.
His Sussex title and his princely status.
Alex, where were they?
Oh, shut up. I've had enough of you. I just reckon if I knew your mum, yeah, you probably grown up look like your mum. For some reason, you got weird hair. Anyway, I don't know why I've done a 180, but I can't be any more than truthful. I'm not true to myself if I can't be truthful to you guys. If you want to unsubscribe and dislike me just because I've turned a 180, but I pity him. And I'm sure in the future I'm going to have things to say about him. When he does something wrong, I'm going to point it out. But I see him through, as Meghan likes to say, a different lens, you know. And I also see that little cow through a different lens as well. And with that, VooTubers, over and out. Wherever you are in the world, I wish you well. Happy morning, afternoon, evening, or good night. Don't let the bed bugs bite. I might be back later. I don't know. I'm just going to have to go and have a glass of wine because I'm shattered. Really upset. I implore you all, get the book and read it for yourself and see what you think. Because a lot of it hasn't been reported accurately. It's been reported with a slant, with a view to clicks and shits and revenue. And That's all I'm saying. Bye-bye now.